The story starts with a chaotic scene. Heavy rain exposes a battlefield surrounded by bright red roses, like the blood staining the area. A prince walked through this war-torn place, heading toward the crucial point of the invading castle. He easily defeated every enemy in his path until he reached a corridor guarded by 4 soldiers. Among them, there was a woman disguised as a man, serving in the kingdom's military. The guards were waiting for the bell to toll, signaling that the castle's prince had escaped. However, Emperor Arnold Hain of Galkine arrived before that moment. He was the one who started the war and wouldn't spare the woman and her comrades until he achieved his goal. The emperor slowly approached the enemy troops, and despite their anxiety, they bravely faced Arnold. However, just as effortlessly as before, he defeated them one by one until only the woman remained. Arnold broke the woman's sword, and in a final attempt, she tried to strike him just as the bell rang. Instead of a sign of hope, the tolling of the bell became the backdrop to the woman's death. Missing her strike, she fell victim to Arnold's blade, her life slipping away. In her last moments, she accepted her life without succumbing to pain, knowing that in her next attempt, she might avoid such suffering. After her essence merged with the infinite ocean of existence, Rieshemgard Wurzner found herself facing Prince Dietrich once again. She was pledged to marry him, but he was publicly humiliating her, calling her a schemer undeserving of someone of his class. He annulled the marriage before the crowd, but Riesch remained unfazed, accepting her fate calmly. This angered the prince, but Riesch had lived through this scene many times before and was no longer affected by baseless insults from a spoiled individual like him. However, she remembered a time when she wasn't as mature. The first time her fiancé broke up with her in front of the kingdom's nobles, she felt embarrassed in front of Prince Dietrich. She was accused of various crimes in front of everyone and banished from the realm forever. On that same night, her parents, who were part of the Wurzner family of dukes sworn to the crown, couldn't forgive their daughter's betrayal. So, in addition to being kicked out of the kingdom, she also had to face rejection from her own family. She wandered aimlessly, with only the clothes on her back, through the dark and lonely night. She walked away from the extravagant wealth of the bourgeoisie, where she had spent her entire life. Eventually, she stumbled upon a group of traveling merchants on their way to the next country for their expedition. The leader of the group was a kind-hearted man who decided to invite the lost girl to travel with his comrades. One of the companions wondered if it was a good idea, as beautiful women like her could be more trouble than the cargo they were used to carrying. Although amused, the leader, Tully, was more intrigued by the girl's silk dress, which shimmered brightly even under the moonlight. With his sharp wit, he deduced that she must be from Viscola, a sign of royalty or nobility. He made a sarcastic comment about how a noble like her shouldn't be on the dirty ground near the castle. Instead of being bothered by the taunt, she regained her composure and offered to sell a precious ring to the merchants. This audacious move brought a spontaneous smile to Tully's face, and soon, Rishi found herself inside the caravan with the merchant. As they sipped sake, they talked about their passion for their work, how they cherished the goods that ignited their hearts and could evoke the same feeling in buyers. It was this deep connection that gave the merchant's name a good reputation and ensured their business made a profit. According to the leader, this was the motto of the area trading company. These stories sparked a fire in young Rishi's eyes. No longer bound to the fate of serving egocentric princes as a luxury servant, she decided to begin a new chapter in her life by joining the traveling traders and becoming a merchant. Under Chief Tully's guidance, she learned all there was to know about trade. She embarked on a journey across the world, driven by her newfound dream of visiting every country. However, just as she was about to check off the last nation on her list, she found herself caught in a war and lost her life. In that moment, her mysterious ability to reset her life transported her back to the exact moment when Prince Dietrich annulled their marriage. This was only the first time she had been reborn. Bewildered, she recognized the same dress and ring she wore on that fateful day. At first, she thought it was a dream. But when she pinched herself and felt the pain, she realized she was facing exile from the kingdom once again. As her fiancé repeated his arrogant speech, she turned away without uttering a word. Even though she didn't understand how, she silently thanked the heavens for this second chance at life and embarked on a new adventure. Her only regret was not being able to carry more resources in her suitcase, which would have accelerated her journey. She attempted to locate Tully and his comrades, but arrived at the same place as in her previous life, only to find that the caravan of the trading company had already departed. Despondent, she rummaged through her belongings, hoping to find some sign of destiny that would guide her in this new life. Eventually, she discovered a gift her grandmother had left her long ago, an illustrated book of foreign medicinal plants. Unlike her first life, Rishi now had the means and the time to return to her quarters. She used everything she could sell to cross the sea and study medicine. In her new pursuit, she delved deep into the knowledge of medicinal herbs, combining it with the business acumen she had gained in her previous life on Earth. Rishi became a successful healer, sought after to treat members of the high courts in distant realms, including Prince Kyle from a country in the far north. However, just like the first time, she found herself ensnared in another war and lost her life again. Yet, with each rebirth, Rishi's maturity continued to evolve, layer by layer, as she returned once more to the moment of her exile by Dietrich. Rishi, filled with disdain, bids farewell and embarks on her new journey with determination and careful planning. In her second life, she immerses herself in the study of a specialized field and becomes acquainted with a brilliant scholar, Dr. Michael Evans. When they meet, Rishi realizes that she knows Dr. Evans from her previous life. The two scholars collaborate on important research projects, and Rishi gains a fresh perspective on the past through their dedicated work together. With this newfound knowledge, she eventually parts ways with her mentor and continues her research independently. However, once again, her life is cut short by war, marking her third death. In her fourth reincarnation, she serves as a maid in a duke's mansion. And in the sixth, she disguises herself as a man and becomes a knight, participating in numerous battles. Throughout each of her lives, Rishi finds fulfillment and motivation in seeking new experiences and knowledge. However, no matter the circumstances, she consistently faces death every 5 years, whether by the blade of a sword in a brutal conflict or from the toll of excessive work. Determined to break this cycle and ensure a long and prosperous life, Rishi decides to change her routine. She alters her route from the palace to the street, hoping to change the course of her destiny. Instead of leaving through the main entrance, she opts for a different path that takes her behind the mansion. However, on her way, she encounters a man who sends chills down her spine. It's Emperor Arnold Hine. When she hears his full name and noble title, she finds it odd that he is known in lands he has never visited. To conceal the fact that she has already been killed by this man, she responds by saying that Arnold's reputation precedes him, and some inhabitants of the kingdom are aware of who he is. Despite this, Rishi was unaware that Arnold's father was still alive, which meant that Arnold was only the heir to his lineage, not yet the ruler. She couldn't come up with a convincing excuse quickly enough, so she decides to apologize for the inconvenience and bids farewell to the noble. She takes off her shoes and jumps from the second-floor balcony, but luckily, she escapes serious harm from the fall and gets up without major issues. She breaks the heels of her sandals in the process and prepares for a long walk ahead. Arnold, who observed everything, becomes enchanted and curious about this eccentric maiden. He immediately orders a servant to prepare his horse. Meanwhile, Rishi, who is lost on her way, encounters some guards who alert Prince Dietrich about the girl's presence. The heir approaches, feigning importance and claiming that he understands the maiden's discomfort at hearing him condemn her so harshly. But as the future king, he sees it as his duty not to taint his family's lineage with the presence of a deceitful bride like her. Amidst this confrontation, Rishi puts her hand on her head and laments that she has placed herself in one of the worst situations in all her reincarnations. However, this action elicits an expected reaction from the egocentric prince, who interprets it as a sign that the girl has been broken by his decision. And her heart is so wounded that she has lost her sanity, wandering aimlessly through the city streets. This pushes Rishi to her limit, and she responds by calling the prince a fool and stating that sorrow is not something that can stain one's clothes, but rather the path one walks in life. She emphasizes that she is not saddened by the broken engagement. Her serious and direct demeanor leaves the prince in despair, causing his mask to slip as he realizes that Rishi has no consideration for him. This revelation makes those around them notice that it is Dietrich, not Rishi, who is being rebuked. Hearing this, the prince turns to his subjects in a fit of rage, demanding respect. However, Rishi calmly interrupts and reminds him that his role is to uplift the people, not to treat them however he pleases. She goes further, emphasizing that Dietrich is doing her a favor by allowing her not to have to look at his face ever again. Just as she is about to deliver the final blow, a young maiden named Marie intervenes, taking Dietrich's side and telling Rishi to stop bothering the beloved Prince Dietrich. With this, the prince becomes more determined to continue his little show. He points his finger at Rishi and claims that he could never get involved with a woman who disturbs a perfect maiden like Marie. However, Rishi doesn't back down and reaffirms her commitment to fulfilling the annulment agreement. She makes it clear that she will never cross paths with the prince again, but she wants everyone to know that it doesn't bother her at all. She used to think her worth was only tied to the chance of marrying a prince, but life has taught her that true fulfillment comes from her own achievements and efforts. Rishi also mentions that, despite any lies Marie may have told to incriminate her, she holds no anger towards the girl. She understands that Marie schemed all of this to marry the heir to the throne. However, she emphasizes that since this future was not even desired by herself, it holds no meaning for her. She acknowledges that sometimes it's necessary to yield to family wishes, but she believes that taking actions on her own is essential to feel complete as an individual. Having achieved her goals, she leaves the room. Dietrich follows her, ordering his guards to apprehend her. In a surprising move, she grabs her ex-fiancé's sword and attacks a man she perceives as a threat right in front of her. This man turns out to be Arnold once again, and he questions where she learned to do such things. The surrounding population is filled with fear and apprehension, as Arnold is known to be capable of decimating entire battalions without assistance. Rishi knows that her 6th reincarnation ended at the hands of this man, and that he will one day cause a world-spanning war, ultimately leading to her death. However, Arnold surprises everyone by dispelling his reputation as an ill omen. He kneels before Rishi and apologizes for his rudeness upon arrival. He asks Rishi for the honor of making her his wife. Arnold really tries to win Risha over, but she quickly says no. The tension is high, but Arnold just starts laughing, which confuses everyone, especially the other guy who likes Risha, Prince Dietrich. The prince is shocked to see his old girlfriend getting a marriage proposal right in front of him. Risha, feeling hurt and angry, wonders how Arnold, who had caused her so much pain, could dare to propose to her. At this moment, the king arrives in his fancy carriage. He's really angry with his son for messing up things with Risha and breaking off their previous engagement in such a mean way. The king thinks Risha should consider Arnold's proposal again. Arnold makes it clear that their past issues shouldn't create problems between their two kingdoms. Then, Arnold asks to talk to Risha alone. The king encourages Risha to hear Arnold out. Alone together, Arnold admits he's deeply in love with her. Risha is skeptical, thinking it's all just a play for power, but she knows she would have jumped at the chance to marry him in the past. But now, Risha has experienced so much more of life and knows there are many other choices. She's hesitant to marry Arnold, especially since he's been involved in wars and seems like a tough person to live with. So, she decides to see how serious Arnold is by making some demands. First, she wants her favorite trade company to handle all the wedding preparations, and Arnold agrees. Then, she asks for a private area to meet with people from other countries, which Arnold also agrees to since it's part of her role. Third, she wants to live separately from the emperor, and Arnold is okay with this too. The biggest thing Risha asks for is the freedom to go wherever she wants in the castle. She also insists that Arnold must not touch her. Arnold thinks these demands are a bit much. In the end, Arnold accepts all her conditions and takes his new fiancée to his kingdom, ready to start their life together under these new terms. On the way, Rishi has her time to develop the skills she acquired in her past lives. However, at a point in the journey, Arnold extends his hand towards Rishi. She reminds the young man that she demanded he not touch her, but he reassures the situation, saying he's just trying to retrieve the sword she slept on. Upon looking at the weapon, the girl wonders how she could have slept on the sword that impaled her previously. Next, Arnold informs her that he has scheduled a meeting with the trade representative Rish indicated, the area company. Since this company has managed to attract many clients around the kingdoms, Arnold asks if Rish has done business with this company, but she responds that she only heard that they have good products. Internally, she knows she wants to maintain contact with Area to develop her trading skills and reconnect with her friends, but she keeps this to herself. Also within her thoughts, Rishi notices the imposing beauty of her fiancé, and as she was looking at him with that admiring expression, he asks what's going on, but the suitor pretends that nothing is happening. At that moment, a group attacks the noble carriages, and Arnold instructs his fiancé to stay inside. Despite their request, Rishi is no tame animal and decides to open the carriage door with the hairpin she was using. Stepping out, she faces the conflict, with men dying in front of her. After the victory of the defense convoy, Arnold is nervous about having to face the enemies personally, so he orders the survivors to be captured. However, despite the battle being violent, Rishi notes that no bandit was eliminated. Unfortunately, one of her fiancé's soldiers was injured, and upon examining the sword that hit him, Arnold sees that there is poison in the body of his warrior, and orders his subordinates to tie a band as close to the heart as possible, and then sup the poison out. Sting the sword, where she analyzes that the poison was made from carotid grass and indigo mushroom. As the situation is delicate, the leader orders them to return to a hunter's guild. On the way, it may have the antidote at hand. But before the return, Rishi takes responsibility for creating an antidote. And with the plants she had on hand, even though they were not as effective as she would like, she improvised enough to try to reverse the effect on the wounded man. Rishi, with the best intentions, is worried that the soldiers might doubt her ability to cure the poison. So, she decides to prove her remedy works by cutting her own arm with the poisoned sword. Arnold tries to stop her, but she's already made the cut. Calmly, she applies her homemade remedy to her wound and then offers it to the injured soldiers, giving them a choice between her treatment and suffering from the poison for days. The soldiers choose Rishi's remedy. While they're being treated, the prince's personal assistant wonders why Arnold needs guards if he can handle problems himself. Arnold explains that he can fight enemies alone, but having kingdom fighters show strength and importance. The assistant then asks Arnold why he's taking Rishi with him. Arnold says it wasn't his idea. Meanwhile, Rishi is out in the field gathering plants. Arnold finds her and asks how she got out of the carriage. Rishi reveals that in a past life, her boss would lock her in, so she learned how to pick locks. Arnold comments on how unpredictable Rishi is and wonders when she'll surprise everyone again with her unique way of doing things. Rishi doesn't appreciate his tone, feeling like he sees her as some kind of exotic animal. She tells him she's never done anything just for his entertainment. Arnold then humbles himself and shares about the knight Rishi is helping, who used to live on the streets. He explains that even in a society where merit is valued, people are often judged by their origins. Despite this, he chose to become a warrior and faced many challenges along the way. Even when he was not fully prepared for the mission, he committed himself to training and being ready for this crucial moment. Rishi listens carefully to Arnold's story and realizes he truly values the soldiers who fight alongside him. Arnold appreciates these men and thanks Rishi for helping them, which surprises her. She thought he wasn't the sentimental type. Despite her doubts, she politely responds that she just used her knowledge. However, some of Arnold's warriors are still unsure about her, especially after hearing about her broken engagement with Prince Dietrich. They suspect she might not be trustworthy. Arnold reassures her, explaining that in his family, the Empress is traditionally from a royal family of another country. So, despite the challenges, Rishi should not worry, everything will work out over time. He admits that people in Galkine can be harsh, implying that Rishi might be treated like a hostage due to their customs. This revelation oddly pleases Rishi, as it means she can relax and avoid formal duties. She takes this opportunity to remind Arnold of his promise to hold her hand. They eventually arrive in Galkine, a city renowned for its power and wealth. Rishi has never been to this city in any of her past lives, and she finds the capital bustling and welcoming. At Prince Arnold Hine's mansion, they learn that the countryside house they were supposed to stay in is not ready. Rishi is told she'll have to sleep in the guest room, but she insists on staying at the countryside house, regardless of its condition. Arnold objects, saying the place hasn't been used in a long time and is in poor shape. Rishi, determined, says she doesn't mind and reminds Arnold that she's a hostage in this situation, so he should treat her as such. Arnold is puzzled by her amusement with this idea. When they get to the countryside house, Rishi sees it's dirty. She uses her past life experience as a servant to start cleaning, asking the guards just to move the furniture. While cleaning, Rishi remembers a troubling thought. Arnold will eventually kill his father, the Emperor of Galkine, leading to war. She feels a strong need to prevent this, as all her past deaths are linked to wars started by Arnold. Rishi resolves to do everything she can to avert the war, hoping for a peaceful and prosperous life without these conflicts. While all this is happening, a scene unfolds with a maid being picked on by others who boast about being the future maids of the crown princess. But then, the princess herself, Rishi, appears and sees the girl on the ground. The mean maids, not recognizing their future boss, keep gossiping. They brag about their 3 months of experience and are determined not to lose their jobs. Rishi steps in and puts the boastful maids in their place. She advises them not to wash the curtains now as the days are long in spring, and there's enough time for things to dry. She warns that it might rain later, which could wet the already dried clothes. The leader of the mean maids questions how Rishi can predict the weather. Rishi explains that the type of clouds and birds flying low indicate rain. Washing big items now could mean extra work later. Despite her advice, the experienced maids, full of pride, ignore Rishi and leave. The mistreated maid introduces herself as Elise and thanks Rishi for standing up for her. Rishi, wanting to help more, offers to wash Elise's dress quickly before the rain because it's a light fabric and will dry fast. Elise is touched by Rishi's kindness and wonders who this helpful girl is. But Rishi keeps her identity a secret, urging Elise to wash her clothes soon to avoid the rain. Hours later, Rishi relaxes on her new home's balcony, feeling satisfied that she's now visited every country on her list, something she couldn't do in her previous life as a merchant. While reflecting, she notices Arnold and asks if he always slips away from his duties so easily. Arnold, trying to stay unnoticed, is surprised by Rishi's sharpness. Rishi teases him, saying he picked the wrong wife if he wanted to stay under the radar. She figures out Arnold has been adjusting his presence to see when she would notice him. Then Arnold asks what Rishi is looking at, and she points out a large building. Arnold tells Rishi that the building she's looking at is a library filled with books from all over the world. When she asks about a beautiful tower, he explains that it's the central church with a clock. The bell in the tower rings at specific times to remind everyone of the time passing. Rishi, full of excitement, keeps asking about everything she sees from the balcony. She wonders why one street is particularly busy, and Arnold tells her it's the busiest commercial street in the imperial capital. But Arnold seems a bit overwhelmed by Reishi's constant joy and curiosity. He asks why she's so happy, especially since she was pressured into marrying someone from his country. Reishi shares her love for the city. She had always heard about Galkheim but never visited it. Now that she's here and sees its lively streets, historical buildings, and welcoming people, she finds it amazing. Arnold realizes he has never met anyone like Reishi. He's impressed by her confidence, intelligence, and physical abilities. He remarks that no other noble lady he knows has ever shown such quality. This comment reminds Reishi of her mother, who used to say Reishi, as a duke's daughter, only needed to marry well and have children. Feeling emotional, Reishi speaks up, asserting her independence. She describes herself as an adventurer exploring life's mystery, valuing personal achievements over social status. Arnold agrees with her and promises to support her. As he prepares to leave, Arnold suggests Reishi make another request since he broke his promise not to touch her. This leaves Reishi thoughtful, wondering if Arnold might have ulterior motives she hasn't yet realized. The next day, Reishu wakes up in her fancy room. That's when Oliver, who works for Prince Arnold, comes knocking. He's sorry for disturbing her so early, explaining it was the only chance he had to step away from the prince's busy schedule. Oliver looks surprisingly well despite the prince spending the entire night dealing with issues from his hermity trip. The whole hustle is about their upcoming wedding. Reishu feels guilty for all the trouble, but Oliver quickly reassures her, mentioning that Prince Arnold wasn't planning on getting married until he met her. Reishu gets curious about how long Oliver has been with Arnold, and learning it's been a decade, she probes for the real reason Arnold chose her. Oliver admits he's not sure why, but he's seen genuine joy in Arnold's demeanor around her. Reishu feels like she's just part of the wedding arrangements, but Oliver's laughter at her comment worries her. Then, Oliver gives her a guest list for the next night's big event, featuring important figures like Princess Harriet, Duke Jonal, and Prince Kyle. This detailed glimpse into a day in Reishu's life paints a picture of the complex emotions and political intrigue surrounding her engagement to Prince Arnold. The night before the big event, Deanna, the head maid, is busy getting her team ready. They're all feeling the pressure to perform flawlessly on such a significant occasion. At the same time, Reishi goes to see Arnold, her fiancé, to talk about something important. She's come up with a request for Arnold, something he encouraged her to think about during a previous conversation. Reishi wants to choose her own maids, a wish Arnold immediately grants. However, he soon realizes Reishi doesn't have all the details about the upcoming party. Arnold explains the party's true purpose. It's officially to search for a wife for him, a show for the public. Despite Reishi's role as more of a political pawn than a bride-to-be, she's not offended. Instead, she boldly suggests that Arnold should go ahead and introduce her as his chosen partner at the party. The celebration is extravagant, far beyond what Reishi was expecting, though Arnold assures her it's modest by royal standards. As they mingle with the guests, a father introduces his daughter to Arnold, seizing the chance to share tales of his adventures. This sequence highlights the complex dynamics at play in Reishi and Arnold's relationship, setting the stage for further developments in their story. Arnold dismisses the idea of sharing any significant tales from his travels, focusing instead on his joy over finding Reishi, the woman he wishes to marry. This unexpected announcement stuns everyone, drawing all eyes to Reishi. Despite being the center of attention, Reishi, who has faced public embarrassment during a previous marriage debacle, handles the situation with grace and wins over the guests with her poise. As an outsider unfamiliar with the local nobility, Reishi finds herself in a unique position. Arnold encourages the guests to warmly accept her into their community. Walking through the event with Reishi by his side, Arnold makes a bold statement about his commitment to her, emphasizing his readiness to defend her at any cost. Reishi reflects on Arnold's protective declaration, recalling a time when he was the one who ended her life. She jokingly remarks that Arnold might be the most formidable person there, attributing her comment to their disparity in sword-fighting skills rather than any past aggression. Arnold, intrigued by Reishi's challenge, offers to test their skills against each other. Seizing the opportunity, Reishi asks Arnold to personally train her in swordsmanship. Arnold is taken aback by her request, but is secretly impressed by her unconventional approach. Reishi, for her part, aims to master the technique Arnold used against her in their previous encounter, hoping to discover a way to protect herself if the need arises again. As the music plays, Reishi and Arnold share a dance, and Reishi finds herself reflecting on their past life battles. These thoughts prompt her to test Arnold's character, wondering if he still possesses the same authoritative nature or if he's become more tender-hearted. Trying to take the lead in the dance, Reishi shifts the tempo, engaging in a playful battle of moves. Arnold, however, matches her step for step, maintaining control while still respecting her space, turning their dance into a harmonious exchange rather than a contest of wills. Rishi is left pondering Arnold's true nature. Is he a devoted lover striving to win her over, or a ruthless killer veiling his true self behind nobility? During these musings, she stumbles, only for Arnold to swiftly catch her, preventing her fall. Their dance, resembling a choreographed battle, earns them applause from the audience, highlighting their seamless partnership. Shortly after, a young woman compliments Rishi's dancing and offers her a glass of wine, which Rishi quickly realizes contains an unexpected kick of red pepper. The woman coyly questions if Rishi finds the wine unsatisfactory. Instead of rejecting it, Rishi boldly takes a drink, maintaining her composure despite the spicy surprise, much to the anticipation of the onlookers. Managing to keep her grace, Rishi thanks the woman for the unique experience. Disappointed by Rishi's poise, the women withdraw from the scene without further ado, leaving Rishi to reflect on the incident with a sense of triumph over the attempted mischief. After the party ends, Rishi Weitzner is still enjoying her wine when Arnold comes over to check on her, noticing the spicy scent. Rishi acts unfazed, saying she couldn't pass up trying such a unique flavor. Arnold, with a hint of warning in his voice, suggests she should stop drinking it. Rishi resists giving up her glass, but Arnold takes it from her hands and finishes the wine himself, telling her she no longer needs to worry about it. He then asks what was on her mind during their dance, sensing her attention was elsewhere. Rishi decides honesty is best, though she avoids mentioning her past life memories of him. Instead, she tells him she was worried about his well-being, specifically his left shoulder's movement, which seemed slower. She keeps to herself that this observation is based on her past life memory, where a similar injury played a role in her demise. Arnold shows Rishi a deep scar that runs down his shoulder, a mark of past battles, dotted with cuts meant to end his life. Rishi, curious about the story behind these scars, gets no answer as Arnold brushes off her question and leaves, saying he feels a chill. The next day, the castle is buzzing with maids hoping to be selected to serve the new princess. Despite their efforts, Diana, the head maid, remains unimpressed, pushing them to perfect even the simplest tasks like folding sheets, hinting that only the best will serve the prince's bride. Amidst the hustle, Rishi steps in to help, unrecognized by Diana, who makes a snide comment about her willingness to work without pay. Diana then announces that assisting with the incoming tablecloths for the country house could improve their chances of selection. Later, Rishi tries to lift the maid's spirits, explaining that mastering these tasks takes time. She inquires about Diana's past, learning from Elsie that Diana once came from a rich family that lost everything due to debts. When the decorations for the country house are complete, Diana can't help but admire the setup, unaware of who's responsible but recognizing it as perfect hospitality for nobility. The moment of truth arrives, and the maids await anxiously to see who Rishi, now revealed as their new mistress, has chosen. With a dramatic entrance, Rishi identifies herself as Rish Ernbard Weitzner and selects Margaret, Elsie, Nicole, and Amelia as her personal maids, leaving Diana and the more experienced maids in shock. Diana can't hide her frustration, arguing that their experience was overlooked in favor of the newcomers. Oliver starts by telling Diana off for not showing respect, but Rishi decides to handle the situation herself, and ends up firing Diana from her job. Rishi then asks Diana if she was always good at her job from the start or if she had to learn everything like everyone else. Diana admits that it was hard in the beginning because she wasn't quick to learn, and the experienced maids wouldn't help her. Despite these challenges, Diana became a top maid, though she acknowledges she might have held back others to keep her status. Diana shares her story of coming from a rich family that lost everything, which left her alone and unprotected. This background made her competent, but also led her to block others' growth to stay on top. Diana breaks down in tears, and some of her colleagues defend her to Rishi, saying she's a very skilled maid. Hearing this, Rishi decides not to fire Diana, but instead announces that the country house will turn into a training center for maids, where they will also learn to read and write. Rishi believes that even if they leave, this education will help them in any job. Rishi then surprises everyone by asking Diana to help create the training materials. Despite Diana's earlier disrespect, Rishi shows no hard feelings and asks for her involvement again. Meanwhile, Arnold and Oliver talk about Rishi's actions with the maids. Oliver tells the prince about the situation, hinting he thought Rishi would shake things up. Arnold makes it clear he didn't bring Rishi to their world for the empire's or family's gain, but for reasons beyond that. Rishi and Diana work together to pick out the first set of words for the maids to learn, focusing on things like kitchen tools. They think learning to write about everyday items will show the maids why reading and writing matter so much. Diana finds she likes teaching. Then, Elsie helps Rishi get ready for an event that evening. Rishi picks out her favorite dress and asks Elsie to do her hair nicely. Elsie wonders why Rishi is dressing up so much just to meet a new merchant. Rishi says looking good helps make first impressions easier. But Rishi has another plan. She knows the trading company they're meeting is new and eager to make a good impression on Galkine's royal family. Rishi sees this as a chance to learn more about these newcomers and to use her position as a noble to influence them. That evening, Rishi meets with Kane Tully, the leader of the trading company. Rishi is in negotiations with the chief of the area trading company, a man named Kane Tully. While this may seem like their first meeting for Kane, Rishi remembers him as the person who taught her everything about being a merchant 6 lives ago. Despite his impressive presence, she feels confident, knowing him already. Rishi seeks Kane's help to avoid war and live a long life. She reminds him that Prince Arnold is ordering wedding materials through the area trading company. However, when she asks to see some of Kane's goods, he surprises her by stating he doesn't have anything to sell to her. This leaves Rishi a bit shocked, but Kane tries to clarify, explaining that he doesn't have anything that would meet her expectations. Confused, Rishi wonders what he means, and Kane senses that she is somehow staking her life on doing business with him. Despite meeting many people in his life, he acknowledges Rishi's unique determination. Declining the business offer, he tells Rishi once again that he won't do business with her. Despite her attempts to continue the conversation, Kane bids her farewell. Later, as Rishi tends to her gardens, she reflects on Kane's advice to become a merchant who can choose her customers and offer unique value that others can't. Kane believes in choosing his customers, but unfortunately, Rishi couldn't convince him to choose her. However, she realizes she'll need his connections when the area trading company becomes the largest in the world. One of the assigned knights, Camille, questions why Princess Rishi, with her royal status, is working on a garden. Rishi explains that the prince gave her the land, and she enjoys growing medicinal herbs to make various medicines. This unconventional behavior surprises the knights. Reflecting on her encounter with Kane, Rishi wonders if he was just being cautious. Knowing him as a careful man who loves high-stakes gambles, she ponders what she might have missed. A flashback reminds her of Kane suggesting they take a break and enjoy the sights. The realization strikes her, prompting Rishi to end her gardening session and retire to her room. Later that night, an employee of Kane wonders why he turned down the crown princess of Galkine. Kane laughs, explaining that accepting her would lead to heavy losses. However, upon returning to their company's location, they are greeted by Rishi in disguise, who had just finished winning a drinking game against other area employees. Kane is surprised to find that Rishi has defeated all of his men. He compliments her on her pretty hair dye and asks how she got it. Rishi chose a more plain color, aware that her pink hair stands out. She offers her secrets for making hair dye in exchange for a chance to do business with his company. However, Kane laughs it off, knowing she has something more valuable. The negotiations begin, with Kane openly stating that he wants Rishi to drop the charade of dressing up for her wedding. Rishi accepts, understanding that tricks won't work on him. Kane expresses his interest in having Rishi as a trading partner rather than just a client. He wants to know the full scope of her plans before offering his help. Despite promising greater profit margins, he asks for every detail of her money-making scheme. Unable to disclose the information, Rishi still wants the area trading company as an ally. Kane finds it interesting that she expects him to enter a contract without knowing the details, a situation traders dislike. Rishi promises compensation, but Kane sarcastically questions if he should trust her promise of profit. Rishi reveals her plan to stop the crown prince from waging war in the next few years, but she can't share all the details yet. Kane grows impatient, emphasizing that results and proof of performance matter most to him. Unexpectedly, Rishi finishes Kane's famous motto, surprising him. She proposes thinking of a successful business idea in the capital, and if he deems her trustworthy based on the results, he can reconsider his decision. The room falls silent for a moment before Kane bursts out laughing, liking the idea of earning his acknowledgement through a profitable venture. Rishi knew Kane would appreciate the idea of taking a risk. He gives her a week to demonstrate her determination. As the challenge begins, Rishi leaves Kane with a mysterious medicine for his employees' hangovers. Kane is unfamiliar with the medicine, but Rishi assures him he'll understand its effectiveness once he tries it. Sneaking back to her balcony after a night out, Rishi starts sweating upon hearing her prince's voice, commenting on her late night. She questions why he's there, and Prince Arnold explains he heard that the area trading company rejected her. Finding it odd for a simple trader to turn down a future crown princess, Arnold feels it's unreasonable to criticize Rishi's actions since he was the one who encouraged her to spend her time freely. Arnold then approaches her slowly, causing Rishi to move back until her back is against the door. She widens her eyes as Arnold places his hand on the door. He expresses surprise at seeing her look scared when facing a man alone at night, noting that she had never shown much fear before. Reich apologizes for sneaking out alone at night, acknowledging that it's not suitable for someone in her position as Arnold's fiancé. She expresses concern about damaging his reputation, but Arnold is not bothered by that. Instead, he was worried about her safety, surprising Reich. Arnold informs her that he'll accompany her whenever she visits town, catching her off guard once again. As he walks away, reminding her of her freedom, Reich hesitates to ask him to join her in her selfish behavior. However, Arnold insists that he doesn't want her putting herself in danger, even if he has given her the freedom to do as she likes. This unexpected concern from her prince makes Reich blush, realizing how indulgent he is. Arnold acknowledges that trying to restrict her would only result in her quietly slipping out, noting her dyed hair disguise. He believes it's better to give her permission and accompany her. When he laughs, Reich can see that he genuinely enjoys it. Arnold then inquires about what happened with the area trading company. However, Reich deflects by asking if he's hungry. As she prepares soup, she tastes it and gasps, apologizing for being a terrible cook. Arnold, surprisingly, doesn't mind and finds it unusual for a noble lady to cook. Reich, sweating, recalls that in her past lives, meals were just about prioritizing putting food in her stomach. Arnold stands up and starts sipping the soup Reich made. He compliments her, saying it's good, which surprises Reich. She gasps, thinking he might not be able to distinguish between good and bad flavors. However, Arnold senses her disrespectful thoughts. After enjoying dinner, Reich shares details about her gamble with Kane Tully. Arnold simply expresses understanding, and then inquires about the business she plans to start. Despite having numerous ideas, Reich is uncertain about what will be successful since she is unfamiliar with the preferences of the people in the capital. Arnold smiles at her, irritating Reich a bit as she senses his enjoyment. Arnold leaves to attend to his duty, advising Reich not to entertain or listen to his younger brother if approached. When Reich asks for more information, Arnold leaves without providing any details. In her library, Reich studies the basic demographics of the capital, including the male-to-female ratio, population age, and economic development changes. Her routine involves gardening in the morning, checking the maid's teaching materials in the afternoon, and preparing for her wedding daily. Reich acknowledges that this schedule will likely disrupt her sleep for a while. Back in Arnold's office, Oliver reflects on the midnight snack he shared with Reich. Arnold recalls Reich mentioning she was a terrible cook but smiles, acknowledging that the food was surprisingly good. The next morning, Reich feels a bit tired from her late-night research. She discovers someone sleeping in her garden, and the knights advise her to return to her room. However, Reich can't help but notice the rarity of black hair in their country. The boy wakes up and introduces himself as Theodore August Hein, Arnold's younger brother and second in line to the throne. He mentions sending numerous letters expressing his desire to meet her, even though Arnold never replied. Theodore lightens the mood, urging everyone not to be tense and revealing his relation to Arnold. Despite Arnold's advice not to entertain Theodore, Reich politely responds. Theodore expresses surprise at Reich working on the garden alone and shifts to a serious tone, stating his desire to save her from being a hostage in their country. While Reich appreciates the sentiment, she is content with Arnold's consideration. Theodore then playfully bids farewell. As Reich walks through the halls, she reflects on Theodore's introduction as second to the throne and contemplates the unusual statement for someone to make to their older brother's fiancé. Reich decides to inquire about Arnold and Theodore's relationship from the two guards. However, Camille informs her that he can't share such information. Knowing she'll need to address their situation eventually, Reich shifts her focus to negotiations with Chief Tully. She enters a room where Arnold is discussing the use of the kingdom's military forces. Arnold asserts that they will be employed solely for protecting the people and not to cater to the regional lords. The man questions Arnold's decision, emphasizing that the king will disapprove. Unfazed, Arnold dismisses the man, asserting his authority. Reich looks at Arnold with encouragement, silently supporting his stance. Arnold notices her gaze, sighs, and smiles, which surprises Reich. Arnold outlines his plan to send private notices to regional lords, aiming to make protecting the commoners favorable for them in the long run. This approach aligns with the man's interests, and Reich recalls a text mentioning Arndt's policy of investing war indemnities locally for revitalization and employment. In the evening, Reich finds a letter in her room from Arnold, inviting her to the chapel at midnight to confide a secret. Excited, she arrives at the chapel, only to be surprised by the presence of Arnold's brother, Theodore Hein. Theodore is impressed because just by looking at Reich's attitude, he could tell she knew he would be waiting there, not her prince. While nervously playing with his hair, he continues to explain that she knows nothing about his older brother, Arnold. He tells her Arnold thinks nothing of killing people, that's the kind of person he is. However, what Theodore didn't know was that Arnold had caused her death in 6 different timelines. with the last one being pierced directly by his blade. Arnold committed numerous massacres in other countries, conquering every nation in the world. Theodore then reveals Arnold's crimes against humanity not only occurred during wars, he also killed his own mother. This revelation causes Rich to audibly gasp as Theodore emphasizes how terrible his brother's actions were, warning her that one day she might meet the same fate. But Rich's next response catches him off guard. She plainly remarks, "Is there something wrong with that?" She then admits she was fully aware of how wicked Arnold could be and still chose to marry him anyway. She isn't surprised since she predicted one day he'd kill his own father and take the throne. Theodore tries once more to explain to Rich, but she's had enough of the conversation. Believing Arnold should handle the matter, Theodore feels frightened as he hears the approaching footsteps of the crown prince. Arnold's figure appears shadowy as he moves closer. Theodore attempts to retract his earlier statements. He reassures his brother that there was a misunderstanding and what he said isn't his true belief. However, Arnold responds in a stern tone, reminding Theodore that he had instructed him to stay away from Rich. Theodore, visibly shaken, quickly apologizes and grabs his shawl. When Arnold tells Rich it's time to leave, she asks for a moment to speak with Theodore. Arnold dismisses her, which makes her slightly nervous, but she obeys. As they depart, Rich notices Theodore quietly laughing to himself, murmuring something about their relationship being as he expected, calling her sister. Theodore then shifts back to an apologetic tone, promising Arnold he won't say anything unkind to Rich anymore. As he leaves, Theodore expresses happiness at being able to see Arnold up close after such a long time. Arnold reminds Rich that he had also warned her to stay away from his brother, but she explains that since Arnold's name was mentioned, she couldn't ignore it, though she only hoped he would come. Arnold sighs, mentioning that he received a reply from her to a letter he never sent, indicating she would show up there. Feeling it would be foolish to ignore such a message, he came. Rich expresses gratitude for his presence, but then shifts from a positive demeanor to a concerned one. She asks him about the public's perception of him as a cruel person. Arnold calmly acknowledges that it's probably true, citing his actions in the last war where he took many lives. However, Rich counters, stating she's witnessed his kindness and consideration towards the people of their country. Arnold's demeanor changes as he reaches for Rich's neck, warning her that he's been too lenient on her and advising her to discard her naive mindset if she wants to survive. Despite his warning, Rich remains firm, trusting what she's seen firsthand. Arnold questions how she could know, given she's never seen him on the battlefield. Rich replies that the person who has shown her the most care and consideration is him. Arnold dismisses her words, claiming he's merely using her. However, Rich insists that even if that's true, she can't see him as cruel, referring to him as her husband, a statement that deeply affects Arnold. As they lock eyes, he wonders how Rich could possess such determination. Arnold notices something in Rich's eyes, something he's seen before on the battlefield. It's the look of determination, the kind that speaks volumes. Rich's eyes convey to him that she possesses that unwavering resolve. He gently moves his hand to her cheek, acknowledging her as someone who would fight to the end. Arnold recalls the terrifying moments of war when he faced individuals with that same kind of determination. Rich's eyes widen in shock, realizing that there were things that frightened him too. She then confides in him about her dreams of being killed, but when she wakes up, she's relieved to find herself alive. However, she admits to feeling afraid at times, fearing that she might actually be dead and that her current reality is just a dream after death. This revelation shakes her, as she hadn't realized she harbored these feelings. Nevertheless, she's resolved not to run away. Regardless of how her life may end, she's determined to live as his wife, and that's all she desires. Arnold smirks and then pulls Rich close for a surprising kiss filled with love and passion, catching her off guard. Afterward, he affectionately calls her a fool and assures her she doesn't need to strive to be his wife, but simply live as she pleases. The next day, Rich sits alone, still processing the unexpected kiss and wondering about Arnold's words. Elsie approaches and asks if Rich has been able to sleep, noticing how hard she works. Rich reassures her, though she knows she's pushing herself too hard. Elsie admires Rich's painted nails, which Rich plans to propose as merchandise. As she paints Elsie's nails, Rich explains how in the East, people stain their nails with flower dyes, inspiring her to add color to nail-strengthening medicine. She emphasizes the importance of a diet rich in meat and fish for strong nails. Elsie mentions she'll buy some of the medicine, but expresses concern about her limited funds to support her siblings. Rich sympathizes, recognizing the poverty in Elsie's family. Despite this, Rich continues to paint Elsie's nails, offering to paint them with Elsie's favorite color. Elsie hesitates to accept Rich's offer because she doesn't want to take advantage of Rich's kindness. However, when Rich reassures Elsie that seeing her happy would bring joy to herself and assures her that any color would suit her, Elsie becomes emotional. Tears well up in her eyes, prompting Rich to wonder if something is wrong. Elsie explains that she's overwhelmed with happiness. Coming from a very poor family, they could never afford fashionable clothes, and their garments were always in poor condition. She expresses gratitude for being Rich's personal handmaiden and receiving such a beautiful gift. Meanwhile, the other maids prepare Rich's nail polish as instructed. Once finished, they admire their sparkling nails. Rich reflects on the many girls like Elsie who suppress their dreams for their family's sake. Later, Rich meets Kane again and presents the newly painted nails to him. She explains that many men visit the capital, so she devised small bottles of nail polish as souvenirs for them to take back to their wives and lovers. Chief Tully praises Rich's initiative and expresses his desire for his company to begin promoting the product immediately. One of his employees shows enthusiasm, but Kane advises caution. He suggests selling the product at a high price for nobles, but Rich disagrees. She asserts her desire to conduct business on her own terms, mentioning Prince Arnold's establishment of a minimum wage 3 years ago. Kane is surprised to learn that Arnold was the one who put this policy in place but understands its limitations, as it can only help those who manage to find work. Rich agrees and explains that while the nail polish isn't expensive to produce, it will require a lot of workers to make large quantities. She suggests hiring people from the slums on a large scale, causing both Elsie and Camille to gasp, as they come from similar backgrounds. Risa then proposes to reveal the secret of making the nail polish only if Kane agrees to her condition. Kane drops the paper and expresses his disappointment. Camille criticizes Kane's disrespectful remarks, but Rixie signals for him to stop. Kane sarcastically replies that if she wants him to engage in acts of charity, she should wait until he quits being a merchant and becomes a clergyman. However, Rixie is serious. She explains that after the war, Galkine implemented many policies for the people's benefit, leading to an increase in average income. Yet, many still do not benefit from these policies unless a method is provided for them. She warns that without such measures, the economy will stagnate, eventually leading to a decline in tax revenue. Therefore, it's in the nation's and Kane's best interest to support her economic plans. She recalls Kane once told her that first-class merchants could choose their customers, but she believes there's something even better, creating customers and opportunities for the people themselves. Kane is surprised and starts laughing. He finds the idea intriguing. Instead of merely selecting his own customers, if they can help the people of the slums earn money, they will naturally become customers themselves. As their numbers grow, merchant sales will also rise. With all the goods offered by the area trading company being of excellent quality, Kane stands to benefit the most from this. As the employees of the area trading company delight in the prospect of increased profits, Rich considers one day giving the people of the slums the means and time to pursue their dreams, as she looks at Elsie, who is visibly shocked. As the crown princess, her goal is to establish businesses that will bring prosperity to the country's people. Kane is pleased but honestly tells Rich that she's too sincere, as he's already planning to exploit her kindness for his own gain. However, Rich anticipated that he might not readily accept her proposal. She had hoped to avoid using her ultimate leverage, but she has no choice. She presents a document that even startles Kane. When one of his employees expresses concern, Kane signals him to stay silent. He wonders how she obtained such information. Rich apologizes, explaining that she had to employ unconventional methods to acquire it. These methods involve her past life, during which Kane's younger sister, Aria Tully, was severely ill. Kane is not surprised by the leak of this information, as he had consulted numerous doctors about her condition. However, when Rich reveals that she has been cultivating plants to create medicine to cure his sister, Kane is stunned. He finds it hard to believe, as Rich is not a doctor. However, she interrupts him, reminding him of the hangover medicine she provided him on the night when she was in disguise. Kane's men recall their terrible hangovers after losing to her in a drinking contest, but after taking her medicine, they felt better immediately. Now they are shocked to learn that she was the one who created it. Kane sighs heavily and covers his head in frustration. He reflects on how he always advised his employees to become merchants who could attract their own customers. Initially, he thought he was testing her to see if she would agree to work with him, but now it seems the tables have turned, and it's about whether she'll work with him. Feeling desperate, Kane offers to give Rich everything he owns in exchange for the medicine for his sister. However, Rich stops him, stating she plans to provide him with the method and the medicinal herbs without any conditions. Kane is taken aback by her lack of intention to exploit his sister's condition. Rich explains that she simply wants him to understand that people from the slums also care deeply about their families. Many older siblings sacrifice their own dreams to support their family and ensure their younger siblings' well-being. She admits that her approach might seem clumsy, but she sincerely wants Kane's help. Moved by Rich's words, Kane approaches her and kneels down. He acknowledges his past mistakes in prioritizing his own interests over the welfare of the slum dwellers. He expresses regret for his previous arrogance and vows to support Rich's business idea wholeheartedly, acknowledging that it is better than anything he had envisioned. Feeling relieved that everything has been resolved, Rich tries to get up but collapses, prompting her guards to check on her. She requests to see Elsie, and later that night, Oliver visits her room upon learning of her condition. However, they find her missing. Meanwhile, in a tavern, Prince Theodore reveals himself, thanking Elsie and Camille for assisting him in abducting Princess Rich, who lies unconscious in a dark storage area. This brings an end to our episode. See you with the new episode next week. Until then, subscribe to our channel and check out our other videos.